How to craft a SaaS website that converts like crazy. Even if you're in B2B tech or outside of SaaS, this episode will be super useful. My name is Sam Dunning. I'm the founder over at breakingb2b.com, where we craft B2B SEO and website strategies for revenue, not vanity. I also host a top 10 B2B marketing podcast called Breaking B2B. So in today's episode, if you're tuning in live or if you're tuning in recorded on the podcast or YouTube, we're going to be diving into, first and foremost, a bit of an intro. So why you should consider following the strategy I'm going to outline for your SaaS or tech website. I'm going to talk about common frustrations, common issues, common areas folks get wrong when it comes to their tech websites. Talking about how you can leverage customer research to make sure that your website resonates with target prospects, aka the folks you actually want to sell to. We can talk about some of the key pages you should consider and some high-level pointers on how those pages should be structured. We're talking a little bit about SEO and how you can consider organic search to make sure the site ranks well when target folks are looking for your offers, problems you fix, or comparing you to alternatives. A little bit about platforms, the CMS technology to use to build these sites. And then we're going to wrap things up and do a little bit of a Q&A if you are tuning into live. So feel free to chuck your questions in. And I'll try and get to those at the end. So let's fire this thing up and dive straight on in. Cool. So first and foremost, why should you consider kind of taking your SaaS website seriously? Well, your website can quite literally be your very worst or your very best salesperson. So if you think about any of the sales demos you might have sat on with a sales rep, and you might have thought this is the worst demo or the worst sales call in the world, and it probably went a bit like this. They scheduled a demo with you, or you booked in with them. You hopped on the Zoom or the Google Hangouts, and all they did was spend 5-10 minutes at the start talking about how great they are, how many awards they've won, how awesome their product is, how many G2 badges they've won, how many best-in-class recognitions and accreditations they've got, how many awesome features they've got. They took zero time to understand your world, your problems, your goals, your frustrations, your jobs to be done, why you even want to look at this offer. And then you left the call, or you even axed the call early because you were so frustrated. Well, terrible websites are just the same. They talk about how great they are, how awesome they are, the awards they've won, the funding rounds they've gained, instead of kind of talking about what customers, target clients care about. So your website can be your best sales rep by doing the opposite of that, and clearly sharing kind of what you do, how you help, problems you fix, results, pricing, and all that good stuff we're going to dive into shortly. And as it's live 24/7, it can either be growing your business, so providing a steady stream of qualified leads or demos for the sales team, or it can be doing quite the opposite and repelling folks. So your website's an owned asset, of course. So unlike LinkedIn, social media, etc., it's something that you can fully own, fully control, keep updating, and send people to drive those inbounds, build trust, and more. And yeah, your website can actually be harming you. So a lot of people say, well, we don't actually drive traffic to our website. All of our work comes from word of mouth or recommendations or referrals. Well, that's fine, but your website could be harming you even if that is the case and you think it's not relevant. Because think about every time someone says, oh, you need to check this company out for this software, or you need to check this company out for this SaaS platform. What's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to check out your website. And if it reflects poorly on you and they can't see some of the stuff they want to see quickly, if it's slow loading, if the design is poor, if it's hard for them to access questions they want answered, if you're hiding stuff, if you make it difficult for them to get in touch, they're going to get a bad reflection on your company and most likely hop to a competitor that gives them a more enjoyable experience. So you're missing out on opportunities that you didn't even know were coming your way just because you haven't taken your website seriously. So the insights I'm going to share are based on after launching 310 websites over the last kind of 10, 11 years with hands-on experience kind of designing and crafting website and SEO strategies for a bunch of B2B tech companies. And also the insights are garnered from running my own podcast, Breaking B2B, for over 4 years, interviewing a bunch of tech marketing leaders, CMOs, VPs of marketing at fast growth tech companies, understanding what they really care about seeing, learning, and taking action on a SaaS site. So with that, let's jump straight into it. A few issues we commonly see. So common issues with SaaS websites is they're often designed for ego, i.e. what the exec, what the marketing, what the C-suite team thinks looks good, sounds good, or is going to work. Just like website headlines, what I alluded to earlier, like welcome to the award-winning. How many times have you been on a platform yourself or headed to a SaaS or tech website and the headline was something like a 360-degree, all-in-one, AI-powered, supercharging your revenues today? And you scroll down a bit further from the homepage hero and you're still none the wiser of what the hell they do. So that is a cardinal sin of websites, not clearly demonstrating what you do, how you help, your points of differentiation, and similar. So that's a massive issue. Many SaaS sites just try and copy their competitors' structure, design, messaging, and similar. Many SaaS sites are thin on content, so they've only got a few pages, which means they're not going to rank well from an SEO standpoint and perhaps not give target clients the information they actually care about seeing quickly. Most sites in general fail to resonate with target clients. They don't do customer research, meaning they're not building trust. They're not educating. They're not showing folks what they want to see in order to be ready to take a demo or sign up or book a call. Hiding pricing, one of the biggest issues still in B2B tech and SaaS. So people think they're going to get more quote unquote leads by hiding pricing, which is true. They probably will get more inquiries, more signups, more demos. But when those folks jump on a call with your sales team, they're going to fall off their chair when they realize that your price is perhaps way higher than they expected. So even if they did like what you offer, did like the platform, did like the solution, if they can't afford it, they can't afford it. So it always makes sense to share your price. We'll talk about that in more depth. Hiding the goods, a massive issue with SaaS sites is that folks gate their demo. They don't share screenshots, they don't share videos of the products or GIFs of the offer in action when typically folks want to quickly see. So one of the main insights I've gained from running Breaking B2B podcasts for the last 4 years or so is that B2B execs typically want to land on your site, get a quick idea of what you do, how it helps them, understand problems you fix. They want to see your offer in action. So whether that's a live demo, screenshots, videos, they want to play around with it. They want to quickly check your price that they can afford you. They want to get answers to their common questions. They want to see proof of results. So who have you helped? Who have you driven results for? What other businesses? And then they want to easily schedule a call with a specialist. And the last thing is that many SaaS sites completely neglect organic search. So let's dive into some actionables. Customer research. So this kind of stuff, if you're a brand new startup company, you've got no budget and that kind of stuff, and you're just throwing up a website, then probably ignore this because you might just want to do an MVP website with 5 pages like home, about, results, pricing, book a demo, something like that, something super simple MVP. This is more for SaaS tech companies that want to take their website seriously and really want it as a trust builder to kind of build that trust with target clients and drive a steady flow of demos, more for kind of funded companies or growing companies or scale-ups. So customer research, why would you bother doing it? Well, one of the most important keywords when it comes to your website is it should resonate, but not resonate with anyone. Resonate with the folks that have the problem you fix, that are motivated to fix that problem, have cash to invest in the offer, and fit that ideal client profile. You want to start thinking about interviewing folks that you enjoy working with, that drive good revenue, that you can drive real results for. And I encourage you to focus on up to 10, obviously do less if you can't do 10, folks that recently signed with you. And the reason I want to do recently signed clients is because they're not biased. So they're not customers that have been with you for years and years, that love you already. They're going to tell you whatever you want to hear. These are folks that have only just signed up and paid. You could also consider joining on sales calls or customer success calls. So some of the key questions I like to ask are, what I'd recommend is recording this as a Zoom session or Google Hangouts or whatever. Use a tool like Fathom or similar to record it so you can get the transcription after and play around with that. And some of the key questions I like to ask are, what specifically made you decide to work with us opposed to a competitor? Why? Well, you'll start to understand the top 2, 3, 4 competitors in your sector, the ones that you recently always come against. You can see what they're doing with their messaging, with their website, with their content, how they're structured, and look for ways that you can differentiate. What problem did you come to us to fix? super useful, not just for your website messaging and content, but for ads, things like that. So you can understand kind of the main frustrations, the main issues that people face when they're actually evaluating, coming to the point where they're so annoyed that they need a better way of getting the job done. Encourage you to look at a framework called Jobs to Be Done. How do we help you fix that problem? So they're going to walk you through kind of what you did, how you resolved the issue, the benefits of working with you, and how you made their life better, easier, and so on. All useful gold nuggets. What were your reservations about using us? This is one that not many people bring up in customer research. So what held you back? What were you thinking? Oh, not sure about these guys. That can be useful because that's something you can address. Like it might be, oh, initially I thought you were too expensive, or I thought the onboarding was going to be too long. I thought your product looked a bit complex, but once you showed me the demo, I realized it wasn't. So it can give you some ideas for things that you might need to address in your messaging and your content and your structure on your website. What is life like now you have our solution and we fix the issue? Again, just good to know words out of a customer's mouth in terms of kind of the results you've gained. This is a nice one for the website. What is most important to you when looking at a website in our sector? So what do you actually care about quickly seeing, learning, doing, and taking action on? If you're doing a website redesign, this one's clutch. What is missing on our current website? What is missing on our current website? And they might say, well, you don't share pricing, or I can't see, it's hard to see a demo, or maybe you're lacking resources, useful videos, articles, and more. Again, super helpful. And lastly, what could we improve on the existing site? Again, similar kind of open-ended question. And why, once you've done this recording, once you've done your 8 to 10 or however many it's realistic, like I say, use a tool like Fathom and Zoom so you can get that transcript, and then look for patterns in the responses against each question. So we don't want to look for just an answer, a response someone gives once, but for example, when we're asking what's the problem you came to us to fix, or what do you feel is missing on our existing website, look for the patterns. What is something that's said consistently across these recordings? Note that down in a Google Doc and a Google Sheet. And that is the golden nuggets that we can leverage for our headlines on our homepage, general website copy. It can fuel things like future videos, podcasts that you're creating that's going to be evergreen, actual searchable content that has real demand to capture. All of these interviews in general are not just good for your website and your messaging, but they're good for testimonial videos. You can chop them up and use them in your ads on your website, testimonial videos. Useful for marketing messaging, like I said, to understand problems people care about fixing, what they care about improving, how you help them, their life now. And it can also help customer success. So you can pick up on any issues you're falling short on, what needs to be improved. And this shouldn't be a one and done. Yes, this customer research is good pre-website build, but it's also super useful to maintain a regular feedback loop. Your website's a living organism. There's always updates you can make, always improvements. So it should be a regular feedback loop. So let's say we've got that customer research insights. Now diving into some of the key pages and key recommendations. So first and foremost, before we talk about kind of key pages, let's just talk about general best practice. So if you look at my site, breakingb2b.com, just as a general practice, you'll typically have a menu nav, which will usually be what we call sticky. So that means when you scroll, the menu's fixed at the top of the page, regardless of where you're at. So you can easily access the home page or key pages of the site. And usually top right, you've got a different colored button, which is for either book a demo or schedule a call or book a call. Or if you're a PLG, product-led growth, it might be grab your 30-day trial or start for free. You've usually got that fixed. And then typically in most sites, you've got a hero section at the top or a banner section, some call it, where you've got your main headline, your H1 tag. You've maybe got an example of the product, call to action, maybe some social proof, then talking about problems you fix, solutions you offer, and so on. So with that in mind, and then the other thing to consider is that your website should, of course, look good on mobile. So if you, on Google, if we press F12, we just refresh, making sure that your structure and your design, many sites neglect the mobile view quite a lot. So it looks a bit like a potato. It's making sure your menu, when it's opened, looks nice and is easy to have that main call to action, access those main pages, even when you're on mobile scrolling about and it's not, the page looks nice and clean and crisp. And again, just has a good, clean UI and user experience, because that's often neglected on mobile. So let's go to some of the main pages. So first and foremost, homepage, I'll show you a couple nice examples and kind of some of the frameworks we recommend. So homepage, first up, you've got the hero area above the fold, before the scroll. And one of the main things is the H1, the heading, the headline. So there's a few frameworks that I encourage. So one baseline foundation is something called the grunt test, which I believe was created by a chap called Donald Miller from a book called Building a Story Brand. Really great marketing and website book. He basically says there's something called the grunt test. So when someone lands on your website, you've got a few seconds to capture their attention. And imagine you stick your website in front of a caveman sitting in his cave in caveman times. He's never seen your site before. He's never seen a laptop before. He's great. He's getting the dust out of his eyes. He sees your website for the first time in his life. Someone sticks that laptop in front of him. Could he quickly, within a few seconds landing on your site, grunt exactly what you do, grunt how it helps them, and understand how to learn more or take the next step? If not, your website is missing a trick, and you're perhaps hemorrhaging visitors, losing out on opportunities from wherever that traffic's coming from, whether it's social, whether it's paid traffic, organic traffic, referral, recommendations, whatever. Someone should be able to quickly land on your site, understand what you do, how it helps them, and how to get in touch, learn more. So clarity is key. So often, like I said earlier, SaaS websites, the headline is so confusing. No one, even in the business, understands what they do. 360-degree AI-powered, revenue-generating, turbocharging wizardry platform. It's like, I have no idea what you do. So I encourage you to, if you're not sure what to say something simple. So one framework is, we do X that generates Y. In our headline at Breaking B2B, we took the framework of taking a stance. So we got so annoyed that agencies were doing SEO for vanity metrics like traffic. They were showing these awesome graphs at the end of the month, but it wasn't actually generating qualified leads, qualified demos, or pipelines. So that's we basically took a stance against that. So our headline is B2B SEO and web design for revenue, not vanity. Then we've got a sub-headline, most B2B websites fail to drive a steady flow of qualified leads. We fix that. Another one you could do is the problem you fix or the benefit you provide, i.e., are you struggling with X? We combat it by tackling Y. Or another one you can do is your point of differentiation, a bit like I've done with Breaking B2B. Another example is Hrefs have got a super clean above the fold homepage. Their headline is super crisp on exactly what the offer does. So you can land on it. It says everything you need to rank higher and get more traffic. So everything you need to rank higher and get more traffic. Quite literally saying there's an all-in-one platform for SEO. Just below that headline, they've got a clear call to action, a nice orange call to action says sign up for Hrefs. They've got an alternative, smaller CTA, or you can get a free Hrefs webmaster account. And a really nice thing above the fold is they've got 13,471 users joined Hrefs in the last 7 days. So some really nice social proof, building trust there. And before you scroll, they've got a few logos of brands that they work with a line underneath it saying Hrefs is trusted by marketers from the world's leading companies. So what can we take from this? Headline should be super crisp. You can either take a stance, go against what you hate in the industry. You can be crystal clear on what the offer is. You can talk about points of differentiation, or you can maybe talk about a problem you fix or a benefit you bring. If you're not sure, I recommend going clear so people can land on and understand what you do. If you're a bit more advanced and there is customer jargon that you can use, you could consider weaving that in. But in that above the fold, you want your headline, you want a clear call to action. So Hrefs have got a product-led kind of growth movement. So they've got their sign up button. Then they've got or if you're not ready, sign up for a free account. And they've got how many users joined in the last 7 days. And they've got some logos of trusted brands. Breaking B2B, we've got the headline, then we've got booking call. We've got a video there. So in our case, we're a service-based company. So we've got a video explaining kind of what we're about in our offer. But you could consider actually showing your offer. For example, if I look at 𝗥𝗲𝗹, it's about WYNTER. They're a website messaging testing platform. If you look at their homepage, literally above the fold, you've got the headline, option to book a demo or sign up, and you've got there a nice GIF of their offer in action. So let's continue. So we've talked about above the fold, headline, call to actions, ideally show your offer in action, have some social proof logos and brands work with. And then usually when you scroll, typically we start talking about, so below the fold, we typically start talking about kind of problems we fix and then solutions or services to combat those problems. So if we look at Hrefs, they go straight into kind of all-in-one SEO toolset. This is exactly what you can do with the product. Analyze competitors, audit and optimize, etc. And then they've got some nice screenshots of the product with a video demo. If you go on to 𝗥𝗲𝗹, the message testing platform, just below the fold, quickly say, look, we're a specialist in qualitative B2B insights. They've got screenshots of the product, and they're diving straight into kind of how it can actually help you with your business, some call to actions, and then they've got some social proof. And as you scroll, kind of more of a breakdown of exactly what's involved in the product, some of the core features, and some of the core use cases, and then some more social proof, some customer reviews with their testimonials and their headshots, and then an option to sign up or book a demo. On Breaking B2B, ours is a bit more simple. So we've kind of got problems we fix, use cases, and then testimonials, and then a footer section. Hrefs, kind of a similar thing to 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁𝗲𝗀. They're talking about the data, how it works, the fact they've got their own search engine, the fact they've got a ton of educational materials, the support that you get. And then as you scroll towards the end, they've got some customer testimonials with headshots talking about kind of some of the key points and reasons why folks chose them. And then some GT reviews, and then the footer. So that is a quick snapshot of the homepage and some of the things that you should consider. If we move on to a bit of a controversial one, especially right now where we are at B2B tech and B2B SaaS, live demo page. So this is one I think is pretty important if you're in SaaS. If you can't show a live demo on the site, then at least show folks kind of nice GIFs, screenshots, videos, as much as you can of the product before you force them to speak to sales. But there's a bunch of tools doing it. There's one like 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁𝗲𝗀, and there's a bunch of other similar tools that allow you to integrate live demos, like Walnut as well as another example. And I think there's one called StoryLane or a similar name. But yeah, if you look at 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁𝗲𝗀, I'm just on the homepage here. I've clicked there, try a demo button, and straight away you can start exploring the product. You can put info about yourself, and you can dive straight in, and it kind of gives you a bit of a walkthrough, a bit of a tutorial of the offer. And there's a few ways you can do it. After you get through kind of 3 or 4 steps of the 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁𝗲𝗀 live demo, it asks you if you want to book a demo or see some users you know. Some folks will gate this demo, so they might ask for an email address, and then you can start playing around with it. Some will completely ungate it, but just portion out certain use cases. So you can kind of see parts of the product, certain elements of the offer, and similar. And then eventually it'll prompt you to book that demo. But I encourage you to show as much of the offer you can before folks book a demo. Reason being is that people actually want to see that your offering, that your product, your solution can actually do what they want to do, can fix the problem they want to fix, can bring them the benefit they want to see. So if you can show that beforehand, they're going to join sales calls or demo calls or whatever strategy call you have as the next step, already kind of half bought in. So, and it's also going to save you time. So your sales rep doesn't have to go for a bunch of features they might have already seen already. So B2B especially, folks are self-educated way more than they used to be kind of 5-7 years ago. So it's something to consider. Next up, product or features. So usually on SaaS websites, if I look now at my friend's Revenue Hero, under the main menu, as a drop down under features, typically SaaS sites will highlight some of their main features. So Revenue Hero is a calendar scheduling tool. So they've got things like instant scheduling, smart meeting distribution, campaign router, granular reporting, relays, instant qualification, and others. So it's basically a chance to highlight some of the main features, elements that I would go for, what is most requested on sales calls, what are the main things that people actually care about, rather than kind of going after all 1,000 features you offer. What are the top 5, top 6 or so features that people really want to see quickly, that they always ask for on sales demos or prospecting calls, and then focus on those. And then these pages typically kind of similar kind of structure to a homepage, kind of headline that talks about the specific feature. If you can, next to that headline, a GIF of the offer in action, how it works, bit of a breakdown. Call to action above the fold, book the demo, request a demo, or if you're PLG based, sign up for 30 days or whatever's relevant, book the call. Social proof just below the scroll, or if you can have it above the scroll with logos of brands worked with. So in Revenue Hero's case, they've got some of the brands, logos, loved by hundreds of modern B2B companies. And then they're talking through kind of how it works on that specific feature. Some more screenshots of the product. More about the offer. And then they're talking about kind of how it works with more screenshots, more examples, and then going through kind of some of the use cases. So that's a brief summary of features. Another kind of similar structure is industry use case pages. Now this is good because you can highlight exactly the two angles, specific industries you serve, i.e. if you go after HR or sales or marketing or RevOps but also if there's specific job roles that are often requested or asked for in sales calls around your offer, you can highlight those. So for example, if we go back to Revenue Hero again, let's have a look what they've got here. So theirs is under a solutions tab. So they've got for demand gen leaders, for RevOps leaders, for sales leaders. Have Winter got something like that? Let's have a look. So not so much. So yeah, if we look at Revenue Hero, if we click into one of those solutions for RevOps leaders, it's going to tailor it. So what you got to think about here are, what are your main markets? These pages are super good for SEO because they can be searchable, i.e. if someone's searching for, in Revenue Hero's case, scheduling software for RevOps, or scheduling software maybe for demand gen, scheduling software for sales leaders, whatever's relevant, these pages can rank super well. And then you tailor it. So you have the hero area, headline that's relevant, book your demo. In their case, on the right-hand side, the top hero area, they've got a nice customer quote and testimonial with picture. They've got the brands work with again, and then they're diving into the products. They've got screenshots, examples, how it works, call to actions as you scroll to book a demo, and they're just diving into that use case. So talking about specifically how the offering is tailored to that use case or that persona, the problems that going to help you fix, the advantages that it brings, the main features of this use case that people actually care about within that sector. And just as you go, continuous screenshots, GIFs, examples of the product, layering social proofs, of testimonials, reviews. You can weave in video reviews here as well. So if you've got video testimonials, those are pretty powerful. And then another call to action to book a demo, and then your footer section with your main pages at the bottom. Next up, another controversial one for many in B2B tech and SaaS is the pricing page. So you probably can tell by now, but I'm a huge advocate for showing pricing. Why? Well, it means that you're going to disqualify poor fit prospects, drive qualified prospects through the door. It shows transparency because many folks will, the worst thing you can do here is have a pricing page that doesn't actually have any numbers on, just says, fill out this form and a sales rep will be in touch. Well, tons of people are going to go onto that, just get frustrated and think, these guys are too scared to share their price. I'm going to head to a competitor that's more transparent. But not only can it drive more qualified folks that can actually afford your offer, it's a time to show transparency, address common questions around pricing, setup, operation, and also build some trust. So let's dive into one example. So this is my friends at 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁𝗏. This is their pricing page. So we built their website. We run their SEO, 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁𝗏.com. So we had the pricing page straight away, just almost above the fold. You've got the main core 3 plans and the price, and you've got the option to kind of add more or less users, and it'll instantly calculate the pricing. You've got an option for enterprise. You've got 3 core plans, and you've got an enterprise option where you can book a demo if you want to discuss kind of 150 users. As you scroll, you've got some video use cases and testimonials. We've got then some FAQs. So this is super powerful. So you can answer things like, in the pricing page FAQs, I encourage you to just pull questions that you get asked on sales or demo calls. So things like, why is it so expensive? How does it work? What's the onboarding process? What is the minimum commitment? Do you have a guarantee? What's the strategy like? How do you stack up against competitor A, B, and C? Everything that you get asked, not only is that going to handle those objections so it saves your sales team time, and they can actually direct folks straight to these pages, it's going to show transparency. It's also useful content. So if you try and do SEO, it just show transparency. Google have a framework called EEAT, experience, expertise, authority, trust, and it's showing that you're actually a trustworthy source. Unlike competitors, you're not doing random FAQs. You're actually doing stuff that people want to learn. And then adding social proof onto the pricing page. So to back up all your claims, you can have client quotes, client testimonials, talking about kind of problems they came to you with, their hesitations about working with you, why they chose to work with you, what life is like now. You could have that as written quotes. You could have that as testimonial videos, review videos. You can weave in your G2 badges or your Trust Era badges or any accreditations you've got, and then have consistent call to actions to schedule that demo. So yeah, pricing page, highly recommend. I can't see there's a reason not to have it now for SaaS B2B tech companies. Results case studies, so quite a straightforward one. Folks want to see that you can deliver on what you say you can. They want to see proof of delivering for companies just like yours. So on Breaking B2B, if we go to our results page, we basically keep it simple. So we have brand logo, what we did, how we helped them, and then some percentages increase, like we did this increase in pipeline, this increase in organic traffic, and so on. Then we have some testimonial videos. Then we have some more kind of brands helped, simple summary of what we did, the time frame to deliver, and the results gained. Again, another video review. And then just some simple examples of work done, brands helped, and results gained. So quite a straightforward one. And it depends how built out you are. So if you've got tons and tons of case studies, you might want to do an individual case study page for each and every result that you've gained. If you're a bit more streamlined and you've only got 4 to 5 examples, you might want to keep it a bit simple, like I have with Breaking B2B, which will eventually expand. But it's really so folks can click on, see companies like theirs, understand the problem they came to you with, why they chose you, results gained. Ideally weave in some testimonial videos that cover that as well, so it builds a bit more trust on that level. You can add them on YouTube and weave those, embed those in. That's just a good way to build those out. Demo book a call page. So let's look at a couple options here. So there's a few ways that your book a call, your demo page can help you drive more qualified leads, more qualified demos, rather than just going for quote unquote leads at all costs, as we want to save our sales team time and we want to speak to people that are more likely to actually invest in our offer. So on the breakingb2b.com book a call page, we have got the headline, see if we can scale your B2B company. That's our headline. See if we can scale your B2B company. So we're not saying we can help everyone. We're saying we can have a discussion and see if we can actually help you. Underneath that, you can talk about what you're going to cover on that call. So in our case, we say, look, we're going to discuss any current frustrations, share ideas and examples, see if we're a good fit. We may be, we may not. And if we cannot help, we'll try and recommend a trusted partner. So think about 4 or 5 bullets that you could perhaps put on the left-hand side of your page and explain exactly what people want to know on that call, what you're going to do, and the fact that you're not trying to push everyone for a sale. You're going to be open, you're going to ask questions, you're going to share examples and ideas. And then on the right-hand side of the page, I encourage you to have a scheduling calendar, not an inquiry form where someone fills in a form, waits 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, gets an email back, and you're just playing email tennis with the sales rep. Get a calendar scheduler, be it Calendly, be it Revenue Hero, or be it someone else, so people can instantly choose a time that works for them. And they can book a call directly with a specialist that can address their questions and help guide them through the process. And you can even put self-qualification on these forms like Calendly or Revenue Hero. We can ask for their name, email, and you can ask things like, how did you hear about us? If you need to ask about budget, you can ask kind of what's motivated them to speak to you today and their key challenges and goals if you need to, and then they can book that time direct with a specialist. And you can also, above the fold on this book a demo or contact page, have a testimonial video like we've got, and then maybe some more kind of written testimonials underneath. So the main point of this book a demo or contact page is just to build trust and just encourage skeptical prospects that they're not going to be on a sales focused convo. It's going to be a useful conversation that's going to aid them. Let's have a quick look at Revenue Heroes. Yeah, similar kind of thing on Revenue Heroes. So left-hand side, they break down what's going to be on that 30-minute demo. They've got a review just underneath, and then they've got that scheduling process on the right-hand side. It's just quite straightforward, to the point, shares what's going to happen, makes it easy for folks to book that time. Cool. So next up, more than a page, resources/blog. So resources could be a whole bunch of things. So within the resources tab of your website, that could be something like help section. It could be blog articles. It could be podcast, video library, guides, playbooks, best practices, PR, and all that kind of stuff. So resources are going to be useful as they can do a number of things. So they can educate prospects that are perhaps not ready to buy yet, but want to learn more about your niche, your offer, or more about use cases or helpful guides. They can entertain. So maybe you've got a podcast or video series where you interview folks in your target market, or you share tips, you share ideas. They can grow other channels. So articles could perhaps have call to actions. So for example, let's have a quick look at the Revenue Hero blog. I think they've got quite a nice way of structuring out their articles. So for example, when you scroll down on one of the Revenue Hero blog article pages, so if you're on an article, on the left-hand side fixed, they've got an option like a lead magnet as you scroll that's fixed to the left-hand side where you can sign up for their newsletter. But yours could be grab a free guide, or try out our YouTube channel, or try out our podcast for more tips. And it's all about folks that maybe aren't ready to buy yet, have maybe stumbled upon an article of yours through a Google search or from social, and it just keeps them in your ecosystem. So yeah, you might retarget them with ads, be it on LinkedIn or elsewhere, but also giving them the option to, they're not ready to buy yet, but they might want to sign up for email. They want to grab a lead magnet. They want to check out your YouTube channel or podcast. It's just something that's worth doing on that side of things. So yeah, building out resource pages, useful articles, building out a podcast section. Appreciate that might not be top of mind if you're kind of early stage, but as you build out your company, having those useful resources that your sales team can use for sales enablement. So they might link out to a specific podcast that's relevant to your conversation. Searchable content, so if you're creating articles that may be using the job to be done framework, i.e. how to, and then pain point that someone's struggling with. So maybe how to book more meetings with ideal clients, or how to schedule times with clients without back and forth. This might be one for a tool like Revenue Hero calendar scheduling, and then creating that useful content that's searchable, addresses those pain points, drives signups, but also encourages people to stay in your ecosystem is super, super useful. Next one, alternatives or versus pages. Again, another slightly controversial one, but these are really good to scoop up traffic and demos for people that are on the fence, maybe comparing you to another competitor. So for example, we did these for our client 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁𝗲 We basically listed out a list of probably 10 or so of their top 10 competitors that are always mentioned on sales calls. If you're not sure, but you could just head to a review site like G2 or whatever review site is relevant for your tech or SaaS company, make a list of those top competitors, and then look to build out alternatives pages. These are really good for SEO. You can even run paid traffic to them, and they'll usually just be folks searching, like in this case, it's LeadX alternatives. In Revenue Hero's case, it might be Calendly alternatives, or HubSpot meetings alternatives, or Chili Piper alternatives. And it's a great way to scoop up folks that are on the fence, comparing their options, and may well book a demo with you. So in our case, we built out one example here is LeadX alternatives, which is for 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁𝗲. And usually these are listicle type pages. They have like top 10, top 12, whatever. And the best way I recommend to build them out is to give a bit of context at the start, maybe talk about that competitor a little bit, and then position your own offer as number one. But don't talk about how great you are, the features that you've got. Talk about your points of differentiation, how you're different in the market. So what separates you from the competition. You could even consider having a table, like this is our main competitor, this is us, this is how we're different, this is why folks choose us, the problems we fix, they don't, the benefits we bring, they don't. Talk about that for a little bit, and then have some kind of call to action, whether that's social proof, case study, and then a call to action to schedule that demo or sign up for 30 days or whatever that is relevant. And then underneath, you'll have the remaining competitors. So in this case, the other 9 alternatives, but do a fair summary of them. Do not slag them off. Do not call them names. Do not make false allegations because you get yourself a court case. Just give a fair summary of what's actually factual about those competitors. It's a super good way to scoop up traffic, scoop up leads from SEO standpoint, or paid traffic, because a lot of people are searching alternatives to your offer or to your competitors, or they're searching versus, like you versus competitor. Really good way for SaaS to grab signups and demos. And then lastly, we've got about or why us. Again, these pages can sometimes scoop up a bit of traffic because folks might want to know the background story. And I usually encourage you, if we look at Winters, I'm just looking at Winters, our story page. So I usually say for the about page, don't talk about kind of how great you are, that kind of stuff. Just give a summary of kind of what you do, problems you fix. Maybe talk about your founder story, kind of why you built the platform, why you built the company, and then dive into kind of what your offer does, and then clear call to action. Maybe point people to some useful resources, podcast, whatever. Or if they want to sign up, grab a demo, they can. Doesn't need to be super long. Mainly people might just want to know kind of why you set the company up, founder story, problems you fix, and then dive into some more useful resources or grab that sign up. But these about pages or YS pages can garner quite a lot of traffic. From my experience, they get quite a lot of page views. That is it for some of the core pages. Feel free to drop any questions in the comments and I'll get to those. But moving on, before we wrap up on the last few points, SEO. And if you do want, this is going to be a brief snapshot on SEO, but if you do want a detailed summary on how to tackle SaaS SEO, B2B tech SEO to make organic search a sustainable driver of leads, signups, and demos, then watch the Ultimate SaaS SEO Strategy. If you search Ultimate SaaS SEO Strategy Sam Dunning or Ultimate SaaS SEO Strategy Breaking B2B, you can find the audio podcast or the YouTube episode that dives into this for about 45 or so minutes. So a few quick pointers. If you're doing SaaS SEO, you want to prioritize money keywords, i.e. folks with high intent to speak to sales. So that could be keywords like best software for your offer. So to give you a contextual example, that might be in the calendar scheduling world, best calendar scheduling software, or best X for industry, like best calendar scheduling for sales teams. Another money keyword might be alternatives that we just walked through, or versus keywords, or niche relevant keywords. So offer for industry, calendar scheduling for HR, calendar scheduling for RevOps teams, and so on. Those are usually what we call money keywords. People are not typing that in for fun. They're typing that in because they want to have a convo and look at a demo around your offer. Then you assess the intent of a page. So you type in the keyword on Google, see what type of content is listing. Is it an article? Is it a listicle? Is it a product page, landing page, whatever? So you know what type of content Google expects. Build out the page. So look at those top 3 organic competitors. Look for gaps in how you can improve the page, how you can make it more detailed, more helpful, more useful. Can you add more examples of your product, your offer? Can you address more questions, more FAQs, more objections head on? Can you add some unique statistics? Can you make your page just more enjoyable, more helpful, based on customer research and based on leveraging insights from sales calls, customer success, support, and all that good stuff? Meta title and description. So it needs to include the relevant keyword in those, and URL needs the focus keyword, i.e. if I was building a page on Breaking B2B for B2B SEO agency, it would be breakingb2b.com/B2B-SEO-agency. 1 H1 per page, so 1 H1 heading tag with your focus keyword in. Leverage experience, expertise, authority, trust. Leverage customer research. Address common FAQs and pain points and objections within sales calls. Internally link. So make it easy for Google to crawl the pages. So if you're building a page, for example, let's say as a use case of your product. So for example, as an example on breakingb2b.com, if we're doing a B2B SaaS page, we'll link probably to our SaaS guide, to our link building guide on SaaS, and all other resources. So Google can easily crawl those. You can also strengthen your topical authority and just help you rank a bit better in general. Make sure the design looks good, so it doesn't look like a potato. It's not a wall of text. It's actually got a nice UI. It's easy to navigate on mobile PC, easy to scroll, easy to find what you need. Has clear social proof, testimonials, review videos, accreditations, and clear and consistent call to actions to grab that demo or take that next step. And the one thing that the big, large-scale companies fail on SEO is publishing at scale. So your advantage, if you are a kind of slightly smaller or scrappier company, is you can publish content at scale. Articles, landing pages, service pages, industry pages, alternatives pages, competitor pages. If you can publish fast, you can see what ranks. Anything lacking behind, you can improve the content, add more depth, start building links, and you can kind of work on that really lean and aggressive publishing model. Whereas if you're slow and steady, if you've got loads of red tape, if you're super slow and a large scale company, that's where you can get kind of overtaken. And then lastly, building links to competitive terms. But like I said, if you search Ultimate SaaS SEO Strategy, Breaking B2B, you're going to find that detailed rundown of this one. And then considering platforms. So 3 of the most popular platforms I see for SaaS tech sites are WordPress. Advantage of WordPress is that you fully own it within reason. So you own the platform rather than renting it off somewhere else. The disadvantage of that is that there is things like plugins you need to update, security updates, it ideally needs maintenance, and you also need to take out a hosting plan on a server to store the website. But if you move the code, you can move it to another team or agency relatively easy. You can kind of within reason access all the code, access all the files, and within reason you own that. But there is a bit more maintenance inside of things you're going to have to consider. But WordPress powers a big chunk of the web. Last time I looked, it was like 51% or so of the web. That might have changed. Very popular CMS, very customizable in terms of design and scale. So a lot of scalability within WordPress. Other one, Webflow, more of a do-it-yourself builder, but of course you can get an agency involved like us to design and build it out. But that's more of you pay a monthly fee and you're almost quote unquote living on rented land. So you don't own the code, but it can give you a lot of flexibility to easily make updates and changes to the site. Webflow seems to be more and more popular from my experience with B2B tech and SaaS companies. A lot of folks moving it to, I think that's because they're finding their marketing teams can just quickly dive in and make edits. So it seems to be quite popular. And a similar story with HubSpot. Again, these 2 platforms, you don't need to they're all self-hosted. You pay a monthly fee and everything's there. You don't have to worry about maintenance or plugin updates. You can just dive in, update yourself. Usually they're do-it-yourself kind of builders. But those are probably three of the most popular that I'm seeing right now when it comes to B2B SaaS or tech platforms or CMS, content management systems. And then final points to wrap this up are your website can always be improved. So it's not a one and done. You can always leverage insights. Customer research should be a constant feedback loop, listening to sales calls, prospecting calls, customer success, support, understanding what are the gaps on your website. If you run a podcast like I do, I'm constantly gaining insights from marketing leaders, understanding what they care about seeing on tech and B2B sites. So I can say, oh, okay, our sites or our client sites are actually missing that. We can address that. Can really help with FAQs on key pages, handling objections and weaving in stuff, just staying on top of what your target market wants to see. There's plenty of tools once you start getting a sustainable amount of traffic, when you're running ads, when you're doing SEO, when you're doing various campaigns to drive traffic to your site. There's lots of tools that you can use to improve your site conversion rates. So analytics tools, heat maps tools, session recordings. So if you see that lots of people are dropping off low page times, then you might want to see where they're dropping off on the page, like where they're getting to with scroll. So maybe your page is super long and they're only seeing the top half above the fold and not bothering to go below there. So you realize some work needs to be done. Visitor identification, so a tool that at the time of release of this, there's a tool called B2B in the US where you can actually identify the folks in the US at a granular person and identity level. They're actually looking at a site. That's B2B. Really nice tool. And you can see US only at the moment what US folks, the actual person's looking at your site, and you can reach out to them, personalized requests on LinkedIn or email. Nice way to kind of target those folks that haven't inquired but could be hot prospects. Then of course you want to, goes without saying, you want to market on the channels your target clients use or hang out on regularly, whether that is Google search, LinkedIn, building a podcast around your industry, building out useful resources to attract those inbound opportunities, build trust, build brand. And probably most important one of websites is build for what your focus buyers care about learning, seeing, taking action on. Build your messaging, your design, your copy around that. Don't build it for your execs team's ego. So build it with that in mind. And that is pretty much it from me for that session. Like I say, if you want to, I have got some useful resources that cover a lot of this stuff. So if you head to breakingb2b.com, if you hit the newsletter tab, you can instantly unlock my full website guide as well as my SEO guide. Just breakingb2b.com, hit the newsletter tab. You can grab that instantly. Or if you want to check out the podcast, we've got 389 episodes with marketing leaders or solo episodes on SEO, web design, and more. Or lastly, if you're perhaps a bit frustrated that your SaaS or tech website isn't driving a steady flow of demos or signups, then head over to breakingb2b.com, book a call. I'll be happy to chat with you and see if we can help. Otherwise, appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for taking the time, and I shall catch you on the next one. Cheers.